Welcome to today's video. In this video, I'm going to be covering over exactly the missing pillar in your real estate business. Most agents, teams, and brokerages I've worked with over 150 agents, teams, and brokers over the last 2.5-ish years. And I've seen a lot of different business models, a lot of what works and a lot of what doesn't work. So I'm going to show you in today's video, the channel that I don't think anyone is really taking advantage of, but has a huge opportunity to generate a boatload of business for your business. So a lot of agents rely on obviously family, friends, past clients. Most of them have that pillar of the business knocked down. There's some agents I know who also do inbound lead generation, but there are some telltale issues with that can be solved, such as profitability. I've just seen other channels are way more profitable and way more consistent at scale, right? The ads can be great for the first few months, but sometimes they fatigue out. There's other channels that really never fatigue, which we're going to cover in today's video. And then finally, most agents don't have the time to do this, so there is an avenue to get your time back, but also get the benefits of this system. So without further ado, let's cover over specifically what I'm talking about, right? So the missing pillar within the business is outbound lead generation, right? This is reaching out to people that have never heard from you before and getting them interested in what you got going on. It's a cold call, right? It's a lot of agents think that this is out of style, it is out of use, which could not be further from the truth. In fact, since everyone's focused on content and brand, which I think all that is great, right? But since everyone's focused on content and brand and inbound marketing, that means there's so few competition, such little competition within the outbound cold calling space. There's not much people doing it, and there's not much people doing it at a high level, which means it's a blue ocean opportunity that you can take advantage of. So what does this look like, right? Well, first of all, it's beneficial because you can have 5,000 to 10,000 dials being made a month with the right team in place. This normally at a 10 to 20% pickup rate. Let's just say 10%, play it pessimistic. You're speaking with let's call it a 20% pickup rate. You're speaking with 1,000 to 2,000 homeowners every single month. Now, why is this important, right? These people have never heard from you before. They've never heard of your business. They don't even know you probably exist 90% of the time in real estate, which the reason this is so important is you're bringing them now into your sphere. They are coming into your SOI, right? They weren't there before. Now they're coming in. Quite beneficial. Now, the reason this is also important is it's getting your name attached to that person. So since we're calling outbound to them, right? Let's say you got a team in place, which I'll cover in a bit. This is important because now this seller knows that you are an agent, and now they know that you have taken a chance to reach out to them and introduce yourself, introduce one of your team members, etc. The reason this is important is everyone at some point is going to need to buy and sell, right? So now that we're kind of in their ear, in their mind, this is super, super important because what this is going to allow us to do is just play the follow-up game, which is where 90% of the money with this is made. So it builds familiarity and we start that relationship, right? That's the key word, the buzzword. Everyone says real estate is a relationship business. It is. And this is the start of that relationship, right? The math that actually proves that, outbound does work. With the team that I have in place, let's say we speak with 100 homeowners. Normally from that, we're pulling anywhere between 5 to 10 qualified leads from the conversations we're having. So 100 conversations, you're getting 5 to 10 sellers that are actually qualified and interested to sell, right? Now, what does this mean? That qualified is this term that gets chucked around every single day. What I mean by qualified is this seller is looking to sell in the next 3 months or less, right? They have no current agent that they're working with, right? They're not currently contracted with anyone else. They have a valid motivation to sell, right? So valid motivation means they're looking to downsize, upsize, relocate because of a job, or maybe, family death, whatever it means. What this does not mean is double the property's value. This doesn't mean a make me move price that I can't refuse. This means that they're actually motivated and they have a valid motivation behind wanting to sell, and they're actually interested in speaking with an agent about listing, right? If this person is just gun-ho on I'm selling for sale by owner, I'm never going to speak with an agent, this person's a lead. There's someone that we're going to nurture, but they're not one of those 5 to 10 individuals that is super, super qualified. Now, if we talk about these nurture leads as well, let's say we've got someone who's maybe a little bit overpriced, or they're not interested in listing with an agent now, but we know we can follow up with them in 3 to 6 months. And when that property doesn't sell, because it's been sitting on the market, it's overpriced, maybe they'll be a little bit more open to this. Now we're talking more 30 to, I'd say, even 50 people, close to half of this list that we get in contact with will end up being people that are those longer term nurtures. These people, you don't worry about them, you don't call them, you don't nurture them, leave that to us as a team, or your team that you might take in-house. You're really focused on these 5 to 10 people. Now, out of these 5 to 10 sellers that are looking to sell them in the next 3 months or less, no active agent, they have a valid motivation and they are interested in listing the property. What then pops up is the conversion rate on these. So what we also do to kind of take this a step further, a lot of people might struggle with sellers that are unrealistic on sales price. So we'll actually pull comps of the property and we'll make sure they're within 10% of the actual property's value. So we'll pull recent price per square foot from recent sales in the neighborhood, different beds, baths, amenities, etc. And we'll pull a comp of that property. So what is it worth, right? And with that being said, we can actually make sure that this seller's within 10% of the property's value. So if the property is worth $500K and the seller wants $530K, right? That's someone we would consider realistic, right? But if the seller wants $600K, that's not so realistic in our book. We're not going to send that through. We're not going to book it, right? We're just going to cancel it. And that's kind of how we qualify. Now, if you bring a team in-house or if you hire an outsourced team, with these 5 to 10 people that you're actually booking on the calendar, your team is booking on the calendar, you want to make sure that they're building a good relationship with these people. So normally, and I'm just running through what my company does, normally we speak with these people anywhere between 3 to 5 calls or 3 to 5 times before we end up booking them on. So it could be 2 dials. We speak with them once. They like what we got to offer, but they're a little skeptical. We speak with them again. We sell them a little bit more on you. We try to pre-sell you as much as possible and get them interested to speaking about listing. Obviously, we can't talk numbers, we can't talk price, etc. But we want to make sure they're interested in having that listing conversation with yourself. Once you've had those few contacts with them and they're there, that's when they get booked on. That's when they become one of these 5 to 10 people. From there, it's simple. You, as an agent, go on 5 to 10 appointments a month. Some of our agents are converting 40%. Some of our agents are converting 20%. Some are converting 60% plus. Really varies. Let's just say 40%, which is a pretty normal conversion rate for an agent who knows how to run listing appointments. You would be looking to convert anywhere between 2 to 4 appointments a month. So 2 to 4 listings a month. And that's the system. That's connecting with 100 people a month, right? And that's super, super realistic with a team. If you're having a team that's not connecting with 100 people a month, you need to get a new team. This is a super realistic number to hit as far as connections, conversations goes. So that's kind of the math behind it. That's why outbound is super important. With that being said, like I said, these additional, 30 to 50% of the conversations you have or your team has that are going to be overpriced, unrealistic. They're not looking to sell for another 2-3 years, but it's kind of in their mind. Those people you will end up, nurturing long-term, or if you hire a team like us, we would nurture long-term until they're ready to sell. Now, you might be asking yourself, well, what leads are you even reaching out to? What leads should I reach out to? And I kind of built a little hit list that we like to go through. So expireds, oops, that's an X first. Expireds, canceled, and withdrawns are probably the first 3 that you want to hit up. These are really, really good. A huge motivation to sell. FSBOs are also really, really good, right? FSBO is a great channel for sale by owners. These are people that, as long as you know how to have that conversation with them, find their motivation, you can easily get them and turn them into a booking. So we go expired, cancel, withdrawn, for sale by owner. We go absentee owner, right? Circle prospect leads. We go divorce leads, probate leads. If I come over here, so absentee, circle prospect, divorce, probate, we go pre-foreclosure as another lead source, tax delinquent properties, all those motivated seller types. This is normally kind of the hit list we go with, which is expired, cancel, withdrawn, for sale by owner, absentee, circle prospect, divorce, probate, pre-foreclosure, tax delinquent. These are all motivated sellers. We know they're motivated sellers, or at least they might think about selling or have a high likelihood to sell soon. So we reach out to these people, and that's kind of those channels that we're getting these people from. So if you were wondering where we get those leads from, it's specifically MyPlus Leads and Deal Machine. Those are the best and most cost-efficient 2 that I've seen so far. So take a look for yourself. If you find anything better, let me know. Now, why is this important, right? Like I covered before, You're bringing new people into your sphere every day, and we're building a relationship with them. So if you don't have an outbound channel within your business, you're pretty much relying on whatever comes to you inbound through maybe advertisements if you're spending money, or even worse, you're just relying on referrals, open houses, word of mouth. Now, don't get me wrong. Is that a great channel? Absolutely. You can get consistent business from there. But is this the end all be all? By no means. You need another source that is consistent, that you know every month we're reaching out to X sellers in the area, we're getting Y amount of sellers booked onto the calendar, and I know I'm going to consistently convert, at 40%, right? And you need to have these numbers locked down so you have a consistent acquisition source. Now, with that being said as well, this is how you kind of scale it up. At first, you can do this yourself. You can do this as a solo agent. You don't need to hire out At scale though, when you start picking up 3 to 5 listings a month, give or take, you're going to be slammed with client fulfillment, managing clients, negotiating contracts, taking appointments as well that you're booking. Let's say you're booking 10 to 15 seller appointments a month. You're getting 3 to 5 listings a month. You're going on appointments, you're taking listings. This is great, but this is where most agents get stuck. And this is where I would recommend hiring out a team, an ISA company, kind of like ourselves, right? Where we come in and we take over the entire sales process, the outbound calls to all these lead types, the scraping of the leads, the pre-qualification, booking them on for appointments, pre-selling them on you, sending material over to get them even more bought in on you as an agent, and then nurturing the leads that aren't so ready yet. That's where an outsourced company would be good at this sort of scale, because then obviously from there, you're not having to do the cold calls anymore and spend the time on that. You're just taking the qualified appointments, closing the deals, right? You're not spending 5-6 hours a day cold calling. But if you don't currently do much deals, I'd say up until probably 20-ish deals a year, you should be doing the cold calls yourself. Past there, you can hire out to another company. So that's the high level overview process. Obviously, like I said, time leverage is it's going to give you consistent pipeline, huge volume, brand dominance. So people are going to start to know your name as we make more and more calls. We're going to get more relationships built with more sellers, which just means more meetings, more leads, more conversions ultimately. Now, a lot of agents, and I got a hit list of notes that I'm looking at. Another thing a lot of agents struggle with is converting these. A lot of agents are used to converting, 80 to 90% of their appointments because they're all referrals. What I say to that is it's a super simple process, right? When you get an appointment booked in from one of these sellers, first of all, don't use too much committing language. I know it sounds, completely counterintuitive to what you'd want to do, but you want to really lower their guard and you want to take a helpful approach. So first of all, you want to understand, where do they want to go, right? What is their motivation, right? What's their motivation for moving, for selling? Secondly, once you got that motivation, you want to understand what maybe is holding them back, right? What's that kind of barrier that's preventing them from being able to sell, right? Once you figure that out, you kind of developed a gap between where they want to be, what's motivating them to move, and what's holding them back from getting there. You simply provide yourself as the solution and mitigate as much risk as possible. And this just comes down to the offer that you provide to the sellers and how much value you actually provide. So value is also this term that's chucked around all the time. What I mean by value is I've got another video on the channel where I cover over offer creation, specifically for reaching out to get listings, right? Reaching out to sellers. You have to have an attractive offer. So, is your contract, month to month? Right? Is it a 3-month contract? Is it a 6-month contract, etc.? With that being said as well, do you provide any guarantees, right? Or maybe sell your home in 90-day guarantee, or place a cash offer on it. Obviously, you got your stipulations, etc. But do you have any guarantees behind what you do? Another one is, what do you do when you get that listing, right? Are you taking it on social media? Are you cold calling yourself? Are you doing open houses? How often are you doing them? You have to lay this out clearly to the client, and ideally make it different or package it differently compared to the rest of the market. So that way, let's say they go on 5 appointments with 5 different agents. You're the one who found their motivation, who found where they want to be, where they want to go to. You're the one who found out what's holding them back from getting there, why it hasn't worked before. You clearly explained why that gap is there, why they aren't where they want to be yet. And then you provide yourself as the solution. You mitigate as much risk as possible, and then you get to work with them. And then from there, it's just consistent client feedback, etc. And that's the outbound system. I couldn't make it more simpler. There's so many lead gen strategies nowadays, and a lot of them can be complex. A lot of them can be out there and kind of hard to master. This one is super, super simple. If you guys want a live cold call example, I will attach a video on the screen right now. Go click on that. That is a cold call of someone that we cold called, and they ended up listing the property with us a few days later. So go listen to that if you want examples of how to make a cold call. If you don't know how to do that, I think that was an expired call. And then if you want more videos on the channel, feel free to subscribe. The channel will be on the screen. If you're looking to get an extra, give or take 8 to 15 qualified seller appointments a month, which normally results in 3 to 5 listings a month or maybe a little bit more, please click the link in the description. We just helped one of our agents, Angelica, pick up 9 listings in her first month. I'm going to be making a video on that very shortly. Click the link in the description, schedule a call. I'd love to speak with you and show you what we got to offer, see if it's a good fit. Until next time, take care. Bye.